If you've ever felt stuck in your grind, or you just felt like you needed to get away, or you felt like, what else? What else is there out there for me? Or where can I take my life next? Or where can I start a side hustle? Or how can I get out of the corporate world? Or how can I build a new business? Whatever it might be, if you are in need of getting away or getting a new perspective, in today's podcast episode, we're doing something a little bit different. And I'm inviting you to come join me at something that might be your breakthrough weekend at Camp Indie coming up. Welcome to another episode of Everyday Badassery. I'm your host, Christine Lozada. This is a podcast meant to inspire you to be just 1% more badass today than you were yesterday, because life isn't just made up of big badass moments. Sometimes we need a lot of small moments to get us there. Or sometimes, as it pertains to this podcast episode, you just need to be in the right place, the right time, with the right people to help you see things differently, to meet new people and gain a new perspective. And that's what I'm personally most excited for with Camp Indie. You're invited to come travel with me and travel with Travis and I. I'm so excited to bring him into today's podcast episode. And as a reminder, there's a ton of info in the show notes below if you want to read more about Camp Indie, if you want to learn about a really cool offer that I have around learning how to fly drones at Camp Indie. So without further ado, let's bring in Travis.
So I'm Travis Sherry. I am the founder of Camp Indie, which we're going to talk about here, an adult summer camp for entrepreneurs and creative thinkers who want to push their comfort zones and level up their life. I also run an online community called Location Indie, which helps people break free of their 9-to-5 jobs and lead the lifestyle that they are destined to lead. Way back when, way back when, before all this fancy equipment and stuff, I started a podcast in 2013 called the Extra Pack of Peanuts podcast. And so that's like my professional bio. But really, what's most important is that I want to travel the world. I want to spend time with my kids. I want to learn new skills, and I want to help other people who feel stuck in their lifestyle get out of that lifestyle because, hey, I was there once too. I was a high school history teacher teaching in a converted broom closet with no windows. All right. And 3 years in, I was like, there's no way I'm making it 30 years. So when I say that, I feel proud that I'm not doing that, but also I feel that pit in my stomach of what it felt like to be in that position and think, come on, there has got to be a better way. And I just knew no one who was doing it, and I didn't have the right support system. So I'm trying to take the people who had that pit in their stomach, like, I'm destined for more. I should be doing more. I should be having more fun, more excitement, more purpose, more fulfillment. I know how you feel. We're here to help you do that. And that's what we do through all the businesses that we have, and especially at Camp Indie, our in-person event that we'll be talking about.
Yes, let's dive in. This is where we're going to start. Tell me what you're most excited for Camp Indie.
After doing it 1 year in 2021, while everything was getting thrown all over the place, right, with the different variants and all, I know what I'm most excited about, right, because I saw it happen in 2021. And that is the same thing that gets me most excited whenever I go to an event that I love, even if it's not me hosting it. And that is just surrounding myself with the right people in an environment that allows you, and this is why I think camp takes like the conference model to another and different level, in an environment that allows you just to truly have fun and be yourself and kind of throw off those shackles and stresses of regular life and say, here I am as me, getting to be around people, some that I know, some that I don't know already, and really getting to, and I think this word gets thrown around a lot, but I'm going to use it anyway, authentically connect over those 4 days. Because anytime I've ever authentically connected with someone, it doesn't matter if it was like 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, 4 day, that bond happens so quick that it lasts a lifetime. And so for me personally, I'm excited for myself to make those bonds, but also the reason I'm running an event and not just going to an event, that someone else is running, because they're stressful and take a lot of time and money and effort, is that I want to provide that container for other people to have those same experiences that I've had at other events that I've loved.
Yes, and that is exactly how I met you. It was in the right environment at the right time and on chance because a mutual connection that you and I have, Erica, she messaged me and she told me, hey, you have to go to this thing called World Domination Summit. And this was at a time in which I was going to conferences back to back. And these conferences were inside the classroom with the sterile lighting where your eyeballs want to fall out and you're trying to learn and connect with people, but you need to take a break and go outside because you've been inside all day and it's exhausting. Like it's great people, but it's not the right environment. And she messages me while I'm at my fifth one of these for the year. And she's like, you got to go to this thing and you got to go meet Travis. And I was like, hey, I'm like super busy right now. Can you just give me one sentence or three sentences? Drop me a WhatsApp message about why I should go. And she had, you know what? I don't even know what she said, but she said something so convincing that in that moment, I bought the ticket. And I had the opportunity to meet you. And for those of you who don't know at World Domination Summit, it no longer exists, but it's a gathering of people in kind of a unique way in which the right kind of people are all there together. And it was when, actually, Travis, you got to see me break the world record for most number of people dressed up as dinosaurs in one place. This was in Portland, Oregon. But you and I had an opportunity to connect, and that's what kicked off our friendship and me coming to Camp Indie, which I'm so excited for because it will be the right environment. We're going to be outside. We're going to be at camp. We're going to be doing so many fun things. So actually, hold on. Let's dive into that part. What is happening at Camp Indie?
To take it back a little bit, Christine. So I run a podcast. I've had a travel podcast for, I don't know. I think it's 10 years now, 9 to 10 years. And
OG.
so, yeah, I used to be a high school teacher. I knew that there was no way I would make it 30 years to retirement. This was 3 years in. I was like, there's no way I make it 30 years. I have to figure something else out. And that began my path down towards entrepreneurship. The problem was I didn't know how to be an entrepreneur. I had never learned it in school. I didn't have a business background. I've never built a business. I didn't know anything about online business. I didn't know people who were doing it. So I was starting from scratch. And it was a long journey, a long and painful journey at times. I was selling vacuum cleaners door to door at one point. That really sucked. Get it? But I took this long and painful journey and slowly built up the skills that I needed to become an entrepreneur. But the main turning point, the first big turning point in my journey from like being a entrepreneur and struggling and working 60 hours a week and making no money and living with my parents at the age of 30, which, I can talk about and be kind of proud of now. I call it the dark ages, but getting out of that dark ages was actually the conference that you just mentioned, the World Domination Summit. But this was rewind all the way back in 2013. And I just remember sitting there hearing about this conference for 2 years because I had done it for 2 years. This was the third year. And I had been living in Japan previous to that, so I couldn't go. But I was enraptured with this idea of their tagline was how to live an unconventional life in a conventional world. And I'm like, that sounds like me. Like, I'm not super crazy, but I don't want to be conventional. But this world kind of shows us like, hey, here's a conventional life.
Yeah.
Why are you trying to live in Japan? Why are you not just being a teacher? Come on, it's good. There was an economic recession at that point. Why are you leaving a job? All of a sudden, I'm like, well, I just want to do something different. I can't make it 30 years. So I was enraptured with this guy, Chris Gillibo, who had done the World Domination Summit. And so I went that first year, or my first year, the third year. And in that 3-day conference, my life completely changed because I actually met people who were doing these unconventional things. And I didn't know a single person in my life who was doing it. I mean, I met a guy who was running a safari company. I met another guy who was starting a travel podcast. He became my business partner for the last 8 years. And we've built businesses that have done, 7 figures over these years. But I met all these people because I took a chance to go to this thing that I knew no one and was scary, even though I wanted to do it. And it flipped my life script because all of a sudden now I'm like, it is possible. It can happen. And I wasn't sitting in drab conference rooms, like just getting information poured at me of how to build a business. I was experiencing an amazing time, right? And hang out with these people in a way, like you said, the environment was super important. But I wasn't just hearing about how to do it. I was like getting to see and meet people who were doing it.
Yeah.
So it changed my life. And I've gone and I went almost every year after that and continued to meet amazing people. And then what was cool for me was I got to serve as an example to some of the people who were coming years later who were like, oh, like I want to be able to do a travel podcast. I want to build a community. I want to, be able to work remotely from anywhere in the world. And so I got to be a role model for some of those people. And it just kept going and going and going. And that led us to camp because when we knew that this event was ending and I had such a spot in my heart for it and it had given me so much, sometimes you just feel called to do stuff, right? And maybe, again, is it the best business decision? Is it this, that? Who knows? But it's like, it's your calling. And I thought without that conference, I would not be where I am. Can I give that experience to other people? Like I feel called to kind of carry on this torch a little bit and hold this event that hopefully does the same for other people, what World Domination Summit did to me. And the reason it's an adult summer camp is like, again, I was like, well, we can't. We're teaching location independence and leading an unconventional life and how to build the life that you are proud of and that you want to live. We can't do that the same way that other conferences happen. How can we do that? Yeah. Let's have an adult summer camp where people can water ski. And this gets to your second question. Like they can go water ski. You can do a 80-foot high ropes course. Like you can do in 4 days things that scare you and push your comfort zone and not just talk about doing things that push your comfort zone and not just say, oh, there's a speaker and I hope I get to say a 5-second thing to them as I line up after their session's over. No, you can go have s'mores with them. You can do meditation with them. You can go on a hike with them. You can eat meals with them. So it's a much more immersive experience.
And I'm getting super hyped as I look at some of the daily schedule, which I'm just going to read one single day of the daily schedule because I'm like, oh man, this looks so fun. Let's just go with Saturday. Saturday starts with, and all these things are optional. You can do whatever you want at camp to make your own schedule. But starting with morning yoga, going into breakfast, then the morning sessions, and all these camp activities that you're talking about. One of those camp activities is something that I used to be the team captain of for over 10 years, which is dodgeball. There is dodgeball at Camp Indy.
Of course you're a dodgeball team captain. It's not hard to believe.
Dodgeball is so much fun. Group games, which I know there's definitely going to be a slip and slide amongst other things. Dinner, 90s dance party. So I'm definitely going to be putting together a ridiculous outfit for that. An epic campfire and s'mores, which I do believe there is an option for alcohol as well at this camp. So that sounds like a single day of the 4. Pretty epic.
Yeah. And what our goal is with this is it's not just a summer camp. Like this camp does run summer camps for adults, right? And where they just go and it's basically like drink as much as you can, do all these activities, but there's no personal development or or growth. And it's not just a conference where it's like, hey, come learn. And then hopefully you take a few nuggets away and you meet a few people. And then you kind of afterwards, build on that. We're saying, hey, let's merge the two. Let's have people come, have incredible times. Like, I mean, yeah, we did an 80s dance party last year. So this time it's 90s, but like dressing crazy outfits, build these bonds, but also get the content you need and the inspiration and motivation you need to, after that weekend, take those bonds that you formed, use those to be the catalyst towards creating or building on lifestyle that you already have. And that's our ultimate goal, is that people come and they say, here's my current lifestyle, and here's what I like about it, and here's what I want to change. And everyone's different on that, right? Some people
Yeah.
are in jobs and they want to get out of jobs. You and I, Christine, aren't. We have our own companies. But there is things that I want to do in the next couple of years that don't look like what I'm doing right now. And so to take that, to allow yourself to think bigger, be motivated, inspired, and then from that use it as a catalyst to say, well, what changes am I making to then make myself or get to that next level of lifestyle that I want. Again, a lot of people come and then they figure out a plan to quit their jobs. A lot of people come and they take the trip that they've always wanted to take. It's not just a 1 week vacation, but maybe they want to go to Portugal for a month and they figure out how to do that. Last camp, we had 3 different people kind of say, all right, well, I'm taking the sabbatical or I'm taking time off work that I've always wanted to do and then go on year-long trips. So whatever that is for you, that like big thing you've wanted to do that said, if I do this, this really truly changes my lifestyle. How can you put those steps in place and then use the momentum you're getting at camp and the relationships you're building at camp, like how you and I use each other as sounding boards now.
Yep.
Like, Christine, I want to do this. And you're like, yeah, you got this. And likewise, use that as the catalyst to then make that change for real versus just coming home after a conference and then thinking about it and then losing the momentum.
Yeah, I agree. And one of the things that I recently did is I took on a mentee, and she's at a place right now where she's just looking for what's next and she's not sure. And I've been trying to encourage her to come to this because I'm like, hey, sometimes we can't figure it out when we're just at home trying to think it through. Like some of the wild ideas that I have had have come from connecting with people like you. And I'm so excited for what might come from who else I'm going to meet, who else you're going to introduce me to, who else I'm going to run into, who else I'm going to hit in the face with a dodgeball while playing dodgeball at Camp Indy. So I think I'm personally excited for everyone who will be there to connect with each other because the opportunities will be really high. Because I actually have attended Camp Getaway as a non-development kind of way. Like I went there for the WeWork summer camp years and years and years ago. And it was just meant to be a fun summer camp. And that in itself, it really was a fun summer camp. But I'm excited to pair that with, if you're looking for that growth, it's going to be available to you. So I'm excited for that. Actually, tell me a highlight. Tell me a highlight from 2021. I'm so curious. Like, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
Okay, so I've got 2. I never just have one. One of the things that epitomizes why we're doing it at Club Getaway, as you mentioned, and if people haven't been there, it's not a summer camp that's for kids that then they try to like shoehorn adults into. It's actually built for adults that then kids sometimes come to, right? So it's a completely different vibe. And so it was Saturday, so the midday of last Camp Indy 2021. And I just got done doing the ropes course. And I was walking with my business partner, Jason. So we were kind of in the woods doing these ropes course. I just jumped off like whatever, a 40-foot tower with a little string to my back and, done one of those trust fall things. Totally scared. Like, had to climb up this pole first. Don't like heights. That was scary.
Did you scream? Did you scream like a girl?
Come on. Of course. Yeah. I mean, yeah, of course. My knees were shaking on it. So I just done that. It was kind of on a high from that. Like, all right, you're fearful of heights a bit. You did this. Other people have done it who were scared too. So you're kind of building that group momentum of like, cool, we did something. Our whole thing is like, do something that scares you, push your comfort zone. Everyone had just done that. So I'm coming out of the woods. I'm cresting the hill because this big hill goes right on down into the lake. And there's a bunch of people sitting out on those huge inflatable things, those big slides that you can go down and like trampolines in the lake, all this cool stuff. And they're having a few beers. And I'm just walking with my business partner, Jason. And I call my wife because she wasn't there. And I call her up. I'm like, hey, Hath. And she's like, wow, you sound really relaxed for like, you're in the middle of camp. This is the midday. Like, you seem really relaxed. You're not stressed out at all. And I was like, yeah, that's because the camp has done such a good job at meeting all the needs that I don't have to worry about anything. All I have to do is go jump off this this 60-foot trust fall thing and then go down to the lake and have beers and hang out with people. And so for me, that kind of epitomized this whole idea of what camp was about, where there's no there's no stress on it. There's no like, I'm so used to in my regular life, even though I don't want to feel this way, but like, I should be doing this. I should be doing this. I have to do this. I have to do this. And at camp, it felt totally free because one, the camp that we partner with has incredible staff and knows how to do this and was taking care of everything. And two, back to our point of being surrounded by the right people, I was like, this is exactly where I need to be. All I need to be doing is connecting with these people, is having fun. I don't need to be thinking about strategically how we're going to partner or anything like that later, because the relationships and the bonds that you're forming are happening so naturally that will occur without having to force it, which I feel like even me as an extrovert and liking being around people and curious about their stories, at conferences, there's times where it just feels forced. Like, I should go meet this person. This person seems cool. Well, what do I say? What do I do? And here it's just like, just go do the activities. Just go sit next to them at a meal. Like, there's so much time and space to create those bonds that nothing felt forced.
I love that. Oh, it's going to be so much fun. I'm super stoked. Can we jump to some logistics for someone who's curious about attending?
Yeah,
because one of the things that people ask me the most is, okay, it's 2 hours from New York, but like, where is it and how do I get there? So it's in Kent, Connecticut.
Yeah, I think specifically South Kent, Connecticut, although Kent is like a town of like 500 people. So yes, it is a place called, you could even Google, it's called Club Getaway. That is the camp that we're going to. So you can go look at their website. It shows up on Google Maps, but it is right on the New York, Connecticut border. So Western Connecticut, I guess Eastern kind of New York of like that area. 2 hours north of New York City. And so there's a lot of options. You can drive from wherever you are. There's plenty of parking at the camp. You can drive your car. That's what I did last year. I just drove right on up because I've been living in Philadelphia. So I drove right on up, parked my car. I'm at camp. Okay. So that's one way. For people who are coming from further or want to fly, you fly into any of the New York airports. You can even fly into like the Connecticut airports, what have you. You can rent a car, or one of the cool things that, and one of the unexpected things, when I asked people what was the best part of camp or what were things that you like, people who carpooled up kept mentioning the carpool. And I was like, it was unexpected. We were kind of helping facilitate. So there'll be a group of, like, there is a group of anyone who already has their camp ticket. And, people are coordinating how to get there. Hey, I'm landing at Newark here, or I'm driving up. I can pick you up. So it was more just like an easy way for people to get to camp together. But what we saw happen was the people who didn't know each other beforehand and were like carpooling up already had a bond in those 2 hours when they got at camp, right? And a lot of them said, like, yeah, one of the best parts was then we got to carpool home and got to ask each other about our experiences and kind of decompress. Like, what did you like? What was your favorite thing? So the carpool is an option. It's a very awesome experience. I got to carpool up with again, my business partner, Jason, at the time, who was flying in from Nora. So I picked him up at the airport and we got to have a little mini road trip. So logistically, there's a lot of ways to get there. You won't be left out. It will not be hard. You choose your own adventure of if you want to drive, if you want to fly and rent a car, if you want to carpool with other people who are coming up. But it's one of the reasons we stay at that camp again this year is that it is super easy for people, because obviously New York is such a hub to fly into that usually you can find cheap and good flights into New York and then go up from there.
Exactly. So you're going to be supported on how you're getting there. But with the other thing that's interesting about this camp is it's all inclusive. So talk to me a little bit about what that means, because normally for me, I'm about to go camp right now or next week in the desert, and I need to bring in all my own food, but that's not the case for Camp Indie. So what does all inclusive mean?
So what it means is a lot less stress for me, because we planned for, a little behind the scenes look at how this works. We had not worked with this Club Getaway before we did it in 2021. So we were planning for all these contingencies. Well, they say they can do this, this, and this, but what if they fall flat on it? What if they're not good at it? And we planned all these contingencies, and then we got there and everything worked perfectly like they said. And I was like, okay, cool. Now I know that I could trust you all, right? It was even better. Like, I mean, the food was better than my expectations, and they said, hey, we're going to have great food. And I was like, Okay, sure. They were serving us steak and paella and like the
I would
dessert
expect
bar.
hot dogs and burgers.
I know. I mean, like, let me tell you, the dessert bar, I mean, that was dangerous for me. I'm a dessert guy, so it was like all you can eat desserts. So the food is top notch. Like, it is not your crappy camp food that you're used to. It is an elevated experience, which is really cool. And I think just another extra layer of how neat it is to come to Camp Indy versus, going somewhere else. But yeah, it's all inclusive. So that's your accommodations. The only upgrades that we have to our ticket, if people are interested, is you can upgrade to like a single cabin if you want to be in a cabin by yourself, or a double cabin if you want to be with a friend or a partner or what have you. But if you get the regular ticket, you're in a cabin with there's 4 people, right? So you and 3 other people.
Mhm.
Everyone has their own bed. This is not bunk beds. The mattresses are actually way nicer. Like, that's another thing. Like, they're nice mattresses. So we call it like rustic chic cabins. Each 4-person cabin has their own bathroom, so you're never sharing a bathroom with more than 3 other people. And again, you can upgrade to a 2-person cabin or a single cabin if you want as well. But all your food's included, all your accommodations for those, what would be 3 nights, all the activities. So this isn't one of those like pay extra if you want to water
Right.
ski, pay extra if you want to do the high ropes course. Like, it's all included. The meditation sessions
Which
are
is
included.
amazing because just simply going water skiing or doing a
Right.
ropes course in itself is very expensive. So to be able to unlimited do that throughout the weekend, I wonder how many times I'm going to jump off that trust fall you were talking about.
You set a record if you want. I mean, there's crazy stuff. There's like bungee trampolines. Like, again, these are experiences that, yeah, if you were to go to an adventure park or
Right.
something like this, you're going to be paying, $100, $200, $300 if you're water skiing all day or what have you. And that's why I like this as an adult summer camp more than like a kids camp. It's not like, oh, you can go play tennis or like kickball, like something that would be free to do anyway, almost. So
Yeah.
you get to do things that are going to push your comfort zone, are built for adults, and would cost a decent amount of money if you were doing them just as your own thing. So all the speaker sessions as well, you're not like paying for different breakout sessions like some conferences do. You're
Yeah.
not paying for the meditation or yoga sessions or anything like that. It's all included. You don't have to even bring a yoga mat. You don't have to do any of that. The only thing that's extra is if you want a cabin upgrade and if you want the alcohol package. So the alcohol package, and again, it's $79 for all you can drink for the entire
Pretty
4
amazing.
days, 3 nights. So, and you don't have to. Like, that's a cost we decided not to pass on to every attendee because some attendees won't drink. So we're like,
Mhm.
yeah, we'll make it optional. So those are the only 2 other things, but everything else is completely included. Your swag.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not like Christine. I mean, anyone who's been in conference knows, like, paying for my conference ticket. Then I'm getting hotel rooms, right?
Yeah.
And usually it's like in the order to find decent deals in hotel rooms. Then you might be paying for breakout
Hmm.
sessions. You're buying your meals, right? You're grabbing your coffee beforehand, lunch. You're running out, getting like a $20 meal, dinner. You're going out and drinking and spending, upwards of 50, $100 a meal if you're going
Hmm.
hard. So yeah, we just said let's make it all inclusive. People aren't paying for anything else. Your ticket covers all that, and made it really easy on us, really easy on attendees, and like an awesome, awesome value for everyone as well. So
Yeah, I love that. Just show up and you'll be
just show
taken
up.
care of. You
Just
know
show
what
up.
I'd love to end on is the theme. You have a really cool theme for this year, and I'd love for you to talk about what it is and how you came up with it.
Yeah. So it's not even forward facing right now. I mean, depending when you go to the website, we didn't put the theme on the website yet, but the theme is make no small plans. And as I continue on this entrepreneurial journey and this life journey, really, I realized that every time that I pushed my comfort zone and I thought bigger and I
Mm.
met people who then challenged my thinking and made me think bigger. Every time that happened, I I leveled up the lifestyle that I was leading, right? I thought, okay, this is what I want. And then it's like, oh, well, what if you did it bigger? What if you changed your thinking? What if you did it quicker? What if you didn't have put these limits on yourself that, are limits just because you're, living in a bit of a conventional world. And so this idea of no small plans, it's actually a book that I've read in the last 6 months called Make No Small Plans. So you could go find that by a guy named, I think it's Elliot Bisnow. But a pretty cool guy who started this thing called Summit and Summit Series, which again is like an experiential event that they run that brings speakers and allows people to learn, but isn't just about learning. It's about truly connecting. And I thought, man, the easiest way for me to think bigger and make no small plans is to surround myself with people who are also doing the same. And so everyone's plan is different, right? Like my plan to do X, Y, and Z is different than your plan, Christine, to play on the professional pickleball tour. Yeah. I don't know if that's your plan, but it should be.
It is.
Okay, it is. So I'm going to force you to say, like, I don't just want to play on the tour. I want to be the world champion, right? Like, so it just helps everyone level it up. And so, again, this has just happened over time and time and time again when I surround myself with the right people in the right environment. To pull that full circle is like why both you and I are excited about it. The right people in the right environment. It causes me to continue to think bigger and bigger and bigger. And that has an amazing impact on my life, not just the big plans I have, but also my day-to-day, because I get excited about big plans and it continues to motivate and inspire me, which then continues to motivate and inspire others who are around me. And it becomes this, circle and this ripple effect that it's not just me making no small plans, but it's helping other people then continue to push their comfort zone to make bigger and bigger and bigger plans.
Yes, which brings it back to like what you and I are most excited for about this is the connections that will happen both for ourselves personally and for everyone else around us. Super excited. Thanks for doing this with me, Travis.
Of course, my pleasure. I can't wait to see you at camp. And I just want to tell people, you mentioned it with your mentee, and I wanted to just go back to that real quick. It's like you and I cannot sit with a crystal ball and say, mentee, this is what your life will look like after you come to camp. No one could have told me what my life would look like after I went to the World Domination Summit 2013. But the person who held my feet to the fire and said, you just have to go to this was my wife. She's like, you've been talking about this for 2 years. Yes, it's expensive. You're making no money. You feel like a failure because like your entrepreneurial journey is in shambles. We're like living with your parents. But I'm telling you, I mean, that's how I was feeling some of the days, right? I knew I was on the path to creating something, but sometimes being on the path does, the day-to-day doesn't really line up with your vision, right? And I was feeling like that, like, who am I? And this and that. And she was like, you've been talking about going to this conference for 2 years. If you don't go, you can never talk about it again to me. And I knew that I would never be able to talk about it again because I was reading all this stuff and it was inspiring me. And she was like, just go to this thing. And she couldn't have told me that I would have met Jason and we'd form a business partnership. And 9 years later, we'd have Camp Indy, and she couldn't have told me what would have happened. But she knew, even if I didn't know, that if I went there and met those people, that there would be a major shift in my life.
Yeah.
And so that's why that's essentially what I'm saying to anyone who's on the fence or is like, I'm interested in Camp Indy, but is it right for me? It's like, I can't sit and tell you what your life will look like. Neither can Christine, but we can tell you because it's happened to us time and time again that if you feel drawn to this and you're like, this sounds really cool to me. If you come and you surround yourself with the right people in the right environment, you will come out of it and the trajectory of your life will be different and it will be better than it was before you came.
Gotta take that chance. Yes. Travis is such an awesome human being. Make sure you connect with him, connect with me, connect with us at Camp Indy. More info is available for you in the show notes below. I've also linked one of the other podcasts that I've done with Travis about drones. You can find that in the show notes as well. I'm Christine Lozada. Go forth, be badass, join us at Camp Indy, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.